I should really say I don't at all mean something doesn't work because it doesn't find an audience. Sometimes the greatest work doesn't find an audience. It doesn't mean it's a failure. It just means that it was ahead of its time or whatever. Savage Grace, which for me is my favorite film that you've done so far. I just think a brilliant piece by Tom Kalin. I guess from the outset it was probably a stretch that anybody would go and see it. A lot of people did. Not as many as people will see The Theory of Everything or certainly saw Les Mis, but I'm just wondering any takeaways. I know that that's also a project that's close to your heart. But.
No, that was a project early. This is a true story about the family that inherited the Bakelite fortune, and they lived in New York. And he married this woman from the wrong side of the tracks, and she was a huge sort of extraordinary Barbara Bakeland, which Julianne Moore plays in the film, huge social climber. And they had a gay son who she ended up sleeping with, and he ended up killing her. And it's an extraordinary kind of Greek story, and it's pretty intense. But that
going back to the visceral thing I mentioned at the beginning.
Right. But it was a film that when I read the script, it just had such vision. It was its own thing, and that was a film when I was working in London, working in a pub in London. And I remember, Jean, who was here, we fought pretty hard to get in the room because, again, you have no financial currency, no one knows who you are. And I got the part, and then the financing collapsed because, as you can imagine, it's not a massively commercial sell. And then a year later, I'll never forget it, I was working in the same pub in London, and the guy who was my manager was about to go to Lambda, so about to train to be an actor, and he kept talking to me, telling me sort of stuff about his, he was with an agent and what was he doing. He said, I've got an audition tomorrow for a film with Julianne Moore. It's called Savage Grace. And I was like, whoa. I literally had to stop myself. I was like, really? Really? Oh, that's interesting. Going, God, wow, I was cast in that. And in my mind, I was like, no, it's gone. And I remember calling Gene and going, they're making it. And he's like, I know, but I think they're maybe looking in a different direction. And that was an amazing moment in which Gene and my agent in Los Angeles, Josh, I remember they were kind of heartbroken because these people invest in you, and we fought our way back into a room. And I'll never forget walking into the room. It was a rainy day in New York. We were downtown, and I walked into a room and absolutely sopping wet, and there was Julianne Moore, and she said, you even look like my son. And I was like, I've never been so grateful for my freckles in my life. I was like, thank you. But again, on that film, I was then cast again, and then the financing fell through, and it was like you always try not to invest too emotionally in these films. But Tom Kalin, who made that film, who's a mutual friend of ours, is one of these, what I'm realizing now, rare filmmakers, and it was made by Killer Films, who are a New York wonderful producing house, who really give their directors authority and allow them to go and make the film they want to make. And now one of the difficult things with film is that there are so many people with opinions, and what's difficult as an actor is you feel kind of fragile when you're working, and you want to trust one person's voice. You don't want to feel that there's a sort of stream of people behind.
The committee.
Exactly.
Yeah.